Were you injured on the job? Well, if you watch TV, even this channel, you know there's an army of lawyers eager to take your case.
If you've been injured at work,
call me. I can help you.
You're entitled to a lump sum settlement.
My law firm Brown & Crouppen has collected over $1/3 billion for injured people. Not million, billion.
You end up paying that million or billion. It's added to the cost of everything we buy. Of course, when someone's really injured, we want them helped, compensated, if they were really injured. But were they? The U.S. Chamber of Commerce says 1/4 of worker compensation claims are bogus. 1/4. At least 1/4, says Paul Colbert. He runs a company that secretly follows people who file claims and makes recordings like this one. This man says he's blind because he was injured on the job. Look at this, though. He's driving a golf cart. Camera catches him doing that. So what was his story?
Basically, he filed for an injury that happened at his workplace. We later on found out that there was a doctor and an attorney and also himself. So there was a three-way split, so to speak, with the money. And so everybody had something to gain from
Working
this.
together on the fraud.
Absolutely.
And the doctor said, yes, he's blind. How do you know the attorney? No, maybe the attorney was helplessly duped.
Right. John, I think you and I both know that that's probably not how it worked out. But
you have another case where a woman claimed she had a neck and back injury so severe she could not work. But here she is. We have some video. She is riding a horse in a rodeo. How did this come about?
So originally, the investigators were aware that she was a horse enthusiast, so to speak, and they followed her to the local rodeo. Well, what they didn't know is that she was actually going to be riding in the barrel races. So the investigators...
They thought maybe she was just bringing her horses there.
Yeah, because people actually sell horses there. Sometimes they just show their horses. But the investigators looked over, and both of them looked at each other, and they did a double take. Is that it? And, you know, of course, it was her, and he started rolling tape, and there she was. And she actually, you know, really, you can see from the video, it wasn't her first time at the rodeo, that's for sure. So.
And she doesn't look like she has such a bad injury that she can't work. And so, but that case still hasn't been settled.
No. And that's the problem with these, is that they continue to linger. And that's where, you know, us as consumers are basically on the hook for this until these claims settle, and we're on the hook for it nonetheless as an economy as well.
You'd think that she and her lawyer would leave town and drop these cases. They'd be embarrassed, ashamed.
Everybody has a financial interest in this, and the attorneys have a significant amount to gain from these claims.
So insurance companies hire you, you check people out. You don't always videotape because that's expensive, but sometimes you do, and sometimes the cheater knows that there's a good chance that you're out there, so they pretend they're blind or disguise themselves. Tell about this one case where you couldn't find the guy.
This is embarrassing. As an investigative company, we had a case where this individual, we could not catch him. It took us almost a year to catch him. And the way that the case played out was the investigators had followed him for quite some time, and they kept seeing a woman leave the house. And so we at one point said, listen, operations looked at this and said, let's follow the woman. You guys know that the woman will always lead you to the man. So they followed the woman. Lo and behold, he shows up in a parking lot of a store and takes the wig off and pulls the muumuu off and jumps into his work truck. So all along, this individual was actually, this was our guy. This was the guy we were looking for.
So he dressed as a woman all the time to hide from you.
All for the sake of money.
And when you do surveillance, you find fraud how often?
Our firm in particular, we see about 78% of our claims are showing some form of fraud. And for, again, to educate, there's soft fraud and there's hard fraud. And some of those are showing either both of them or one of them.
Well, what's hard fraud?
Hard fraud is obviously more deliberate. These are people that are staging accidents, walking into grocery stores, pouring liquid detergent in the soap aisle, and then creating a slip and fall.
And soft fraud?
Soft fraud is the little white lies. This is your neighbor, this is your doctor. People basically exaggerating the truth a little bit. Just
exaggerating their injuries, saying they can't work.
Yes.
And there are some professional cheaters, though, some people who do this for a living.
Some very good cheaters out there.
The neighbors often know.
1 in 4 people are aware of fraud, and they don't report it. And the reason being, and from us, in our standpoint, we've really seen that there's a sense of entitlement, and it's almost like they've paid into the insurance system, and now they're looking for a return on their investment. but unfortunately that's coming out of our pockets every year.
The neighbor says, yeah, he's cheating the system, but it's just a big company, an insurance company. They don't care.
The big evil insurance company, and that's the mentality behind it. It's, you know, insurance companies are swimming in money.
But we're paying that money.
We are.
And we pay more because of these cheaters. And you expose them, and you worry about your own safety because of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For me, as an investigator, also as the CEO of the company, we're taking people and fraudulent criminals down. And unfortunately, people don't like when they have a retirement plan set up on a fraudulent claim, because when you take that from people, that's, you know, anyone knows, especially in these days, they're holding on to their money as tightly as they can. And certainly people have been hired to track me down, to track my family down. So it's a very shady business from that aspect.
So Paul Colbert's your real name?
It is my real name.
But you don't give your real address?
But good luck finding me.
Thank you, Paul. Coming up, our contest to determine the stupidest lawyer-driven warning label. Contestant number 2. This label on this bicycle brochure says, warning, this action's potentially dangerous. The writers are experts or professionals. Come on, they're kids. The audience awards $1,000 to the wackiest warning label next.